if you are wishing that you could have some sort of a sewing business, or you're looking for a side hustle, or you're looking to just do what you love and actually make money at it, this video is for you. I'm going to tell you about, how many things do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6 things, 6 ways that you can legitimately make money with your sewing machine. So let's get started. And this is not going to be in any particular order. The last one is probably my favorite. It's because I have made the most money in this business. So stay tuned for that one. So number one, I'm going to start with the broadest, most general way, and that is just having a sewing workroom. And this is what my mom did for 25 years. She did pretty much anything. She didn't do any upholstery. She made slipcovers, she made window treatments, she made cushions, she made pillows, she made tablecloths, she made bedding, baby crib bumpers, and Roman shades, and placemats and napkins and all manner of soft home furnishings. She did it. And she had a very successful business for many years. She had a few designers that she worked for, and they kept her very busy. And she also had just clients that came word of mouth. And she had a couple upholsterers that would refer her for slipcovers, and so she stayed very busy and always had a pretty long wait list. She worked from 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. She was pretty religious about that. She did very well. She did very well. My mom never sold fabric. She did which is customer's own material solely, which I would suggest against that, because you can make extra money by selling fabric, and people really would like to be able to just select fabric with you. So if you are going to open a general workroom, selling fabric is a good way to make some extra money. And you'll see in all the ways that I'm talking about that selling fabric is a good way to make money, and it is oftentimes the only way that you can make a sewing workroom happen. My mom made good money. She could have made a lot more money had she sold fabric and raised her prices. She never charged enough, and that's one thing that you have to learn right from the beginning is pricing. And I have a very fantastic book about pricing by Kitty. Oh my goodness. I'll put the name on here. But it's a book all about pricing, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below. She talks about pricing your work, and it's a fabulous book. So if you're thinking about doing a sewing workroom, you should definitely read the pricing book. So having a general workroom is really a great option if you're somebody who likes a challenge, because you will be challenged with all kinds of different things. Like my mom used to do cornice boards and swags and jabots, and it's very challenging when you do just about anything, because you're going to have to learn so many skills. So it's fun if you are somebody who likes a challenge. I would suggest niching down to a more narrow focus and maybe just do a couple things, pillows and cushions, or just window treatments. Like drapery and Roman shades would be a good niche, or just slipcovers, because otherwise there's so many skills that you have to know, and it's doable. I did it. When I first started sewing, I did it. But it's definitely a challenge. And if you can get in with a couple designers from the start, that will launch your business immediately. So yeah, a general sewing workroom would be it is a very legitimate way to make a full-time living sewing from home. Number 2 would be a pillow business. So this is basically kind of niching down from a sewing workroom, a general sewing workroom. You could do a pillow business, just making throw pillows. You could do square throw pillows, you can do lumbar pillows, you can do bolster pillows. I know there is a gal that has a business doing nothing but bolster pillows. I think they do 2 or 3 sizes of bolster pillows, and that is all. She does well. I follow her on Instagram. That is a completely doable business model, which has nothing but upside potential. And with any of these businesses, you just have to start small. just go ahead and start it. Just start making bolster pillows for your family and friends, or throw pillows for your family and friends. Get on Instagram and post on Instagram, and you could potentially just start selling on Instagram alone, and then get a website, start selling on your website. You could sell your pillows on cherish.com, or you can sell on, you could even sell on Amazon. There's so many ways, but that a pillow business can be a very, very lucrative sewing business. And because it's so niche, it would be an easier lift, a lot less learning curve to just making pillows. Number 3 would be alterations. And when I say alterations, I'm not talking about alterations the way you're thinking about alterations, not hemming people's clothes and sewing on buttons and replacing zippers and altering prom dresses and altering wedding. I'm not talking about that kind of alterations. What I'm talking about is potentially doing like custom thrift flips, like this shirt, for instance. I haven't taken it off since I made it. Legitimately, I think I've been wearing this shirt for 3 days. I even have queso on it from Taco Tuesday, and I just tried to remedy that. But I won't take it off because I love it. I love it. Anyways, this is the type of thing I'm talking about. Potentially doing custom thrift flips like these shirts, or just general thrift flips from, buying things at thrift stores and maybe altering things a little bit to make them more current and make them more now, and then reselling them on either Instagram or on eBay or your own website. That one, I think you would have to have some sort of a following, like you'd have to build up an Instagram following, but I see them all over Instagram where people are thrifting things, and then they alter things, like they put darts into men's shirts to make them fit better, making different things out of different pieces that are thrifted to make them more custom. I see a lot of people doing them, and then they do a drop, like they tell people, okay, this piece and this piece, I'm making this piece, and here's this piece and here's that piece, and then they say, I'm gonna drop these on next Friday, and then they sell them all at one time, and people pay on Instagram, and people are making really good money doing that. So that is also, I think, a very viable thing that you can do. And this altering thrifted items, I think, would be a really great side hustle. You could do that in the evenings or on the weekends along with a full-time job until you build up enough business that you have a big following on Instagram and people are just coming back to see what you've got. That's really a viable option. So upholstery. So upholstery is something that you can make very good money at, but it is a little bit more difficult to get started with upholstery. Not so much anymore. It used to be much harder because upholstery was sort of kept under lock and key. Upholsterers were not so apt to be giving people free information. Nowadays it's different. You can take upholstery courses online. There's a lot of people who teach it, and they teach well, so you can get into it now. It does take a little bit more practice, and there's a little bit more of a learning curve to upholstery, plus you need a few more tools with upholstery. But if you can potentially get started with family and friends pieces, and then people will start to hear that you're doing upholstery, and believe you me, when people hear that you're doing upholstery, you will have people lined up at your door. So with this one, I would again say maybe start small. Maybe just start with potentially just doing chairs, because with upholstery, there is heavy lifting. Like, you would need somebody to pick up and deliver the furniture. If you could start off with maybe chairs that you could pick up, or your clients could deliver to you and then you could deliver it back to them, that would be a good way to start. And the nice thing about that is that if you can upholster every style of chair, you can do a sofa. It's just bigger. So upholstery is a really, really good money making business, and there is actually oftentimes not all that much sewing involved. It's a lot of stapling and stapling and then sewing of cushions. There's some sewing in certain types of chairs that you have to sew fabric for wings and backs and things like that, but it can be minimal sewing. The thing about upholstery is really with any sewing business, there's not that much competition. I know that the upholsterers in my area are all very, very busy. Most of them have long wait lists. So if you were to get into upholstery, I think that you could easily establish a very good business pretty quickly. Obviously, you do need to have a place that you can upholster, but it really doesn't take all that much space. You would be surprised how little space it actually takes. And if you have people bring their things over just right before you're ready for them, you can do it in a very small space. I mean, the upholsterer I worked for, he had a small space. It was probably only the size of this room, not even the size of this room. Yeah, it was probably about the size of this room. You could potentially do it as a one-man operation. There's a lot to learn with owning a business. But the good thing is that you can just do it little by little, and you just build up and learn as you go. I mean, I guess with upholstery, if you could potentially apprentice with somebody or work in somebody's shop if they were willing to teach you and let you learn the business, or even somebody who is legitimate, who is ready to retire, you could start working for them and then potentially buy out their business or take over their business. So there's that too. I don't know. Upholstery is very attractive to me. I don't know why. I love that. I love that business. And if you are going to do upholstery, you definitely need to sell fabric. You have to sell fabric. So you would have your clients come and look through all your fabric books, and that's really the only way to do it. Some upholsterers do take customers' own material, but they charge for that. Same with slipcovers. So upholstery is definitely a viable business option with a little bit more lift to start with, a little bit more investment to start with, but definitely a huge upside on the profit side because of the lack of upholsterers that are out there these days. All right, and this next one is one that I have not done myself, and it is being a sewing machine technician. And I only recently considered this because I watched a gal's video about it. She's a seamstress, and she was out there just trying to make money sewing, and she was making things. I can't remember what it was. She was making mostly bags, and she tried making different things and selling them, and it just didn't pan out for her. So she thought, you know what, I think I'm going to try being a sewing machine technician. So she took a course and just started being a sewing machine technician, and it panned out because there's no competition for that either. There's sewing machine technicians these days. They're few and far between. And so she cornered that market in her town and got very, very busy working on people's sewing machines. And then the other thing about being a sewing machine technician is then you can buy and sell or flip sewing machines, because many people will just give you their old machines because they're broken or whatever, and they never learned how to sew. And so that's a whole nother side hustle that you could do if you became a sewing machine technician. I don't, because I've never gone to any schools or anything for sewing machine technician, I don't know a reputable school, but they're out there. There's one in Central Texas, somewhere near San Antonio. I can't remember the name of the place, but I'll put some links for it. And they have a course that you can do that's a full course that'll teach you everything you need to know to become a sewing machine technician, and I think it's about $5,000. That's their highest master course. And then they have one that's I think $2,000, which is a small investment into a business to do it. You could do it on your dining room table. You don't need to have a shop. You don't need to have any space for it. There's no heavy lifting involved. It would be a very easy thing to get into if you are somebody who's semi-technically inclined. I'm interested. Okay, so the last one that I'm going to talk about is slipcover making. So this can go under the umbrella of a general workroom, but like I said, it is best to niche down because then you don't have so many things to learn. If you just go ahead and niche down to slipcover making right from the start, you can master your craft a lot faster and start making really good money pretty quickly. The other thing about slipcover making is there's zero competition for it. Any major town, there might be one person, 2 people, 3 people who do slipcovers, not many more. So if you can get a connection with the upholsterers in your area, most upholsterers will gladly refer you as a slipcover maker, because most upholstery shops don't really want to make slipcovers. They just want to do upholstery, and so they will refer you. And then if you can get with some designers, reach out, email all the designers in your area and let them know that you make slipcovers, custom slipcovers, send pictures. You'll have a waiting list right from the start. It does take some practice. But if you let family and friends know that you're trying to learn how to make slipcovers, you'll have a few projects lined up in no time. Slipcover making is a very, very viable business option, and you can potentially do slipcover making without any heavy lifting. I generally will cut and pin all of my slipcovers in my client's home, so I don't have them bring their sofas to me. If it's a chair, I'll have them bring it to my workroom. But for sofas, I cut and pin right in my client's home, so the sofa doesn't even have to move. And then I bring the fabric back to my sewing room, sew it, and then bring it back and install it for them. So it's a very easy, well, it's a simple business model. There is learning curve to making slipcovers, and it is 100% sewing, so you do have to have a decent machine. A commercial machine with a walking foot would be great, but it's not completely necessary. I've made almost all my slipcovers on this machine and with that serger, and they're both just consumer grade. They're high-end, but consumer grade. I do have commercial machines, but I don't generally use them, only when I'm doing cushions. So the other thing about slipcover making is that if you sell fabric, which if you're thinking about doing it, definitely go ahead and open an account with a couple fabric suppliers in order to be able to sell fabric, because selling the fabric is where you're able to actually make some money in addition to just your labor cost. It makes all the difference to sell fabric. It really will bring you over that making it worthwhile hump of selling fabric, and your customers will really appreciate it because they don't have to go out and try to source fabric and guess whether or not a specific fabric is appropriate for a slipcover or not. It'll be a big value for your customers as well, not just make you extra money, but it's a huge value for them. So slipcover making is really chef's kiss, I think, as far as sewing to make money. It is a great way to make money. So those are my suggestions. I think that was 8 for sewing businesses. If you have another suggestion that's a great viable option for making money with your sewing machine at your home, please leave it in the comments. I'd like to know. And I know other people would like to know too. So please leave it in the comments and let me know what you're doing out there to make money with your sewing machine. And if you are interested in my first slipcover course, which I am working on editing the videos right now. It's taking me a long time because it's a lot of modules. I tried to really get every detail of slipcover making. It's a very, very in-depth course. If you're interested in getting on my wait list for that course when it comes out, go ahead and get on the wait list in the description box below. You just put in your email address and I'll put you on the wait list. You'll receive a notification that you're on the list. So you'll be notified when that course comes out. And I'll see you on the next one, y'all.